You too. What it is, what it ain't, what's cracking, peeps. What it is. Yo, getting right to it, y'all. Sold the house today. Yay, good, sold the house today. Little backstory on this house. I want to tell y'all all the details in this house so you can really know what to expect in regards to wholesale real estate. You know what I'm saying? I know you've heard about, all the big checks you're gonna get doing this business. People making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 plus on, just one wholesale real estate deal. And it happens. It does happen. It happens every day, multiple times a day. So it definitely happens. But the other side of the story is the deals you don't really hear about are the deals that I want to talk about today. And those are the deals that you close, you don't work your ass off for the deal, you know what I'm saying? You done jump through all kind of loops, ropes, and hoops to work your ass off on the deal, and you don't make one of those big paychecks, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reality of this business, you know what I'm saying? Those real big checks, you know what I'm saying? Those are great to get and all that, you know what I'm saying? But the reality of it, the most of your deals, especially when you first starting, unless you just go out, guns a-blazing or whatever, but when you first starting out, you're not going to really get those big deals that you see in the Facebook groups or you see on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, closed the deal. I closed this deal actually yesterday. Got my check for it today. First off, let me show y'all how much I made on this deal. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I want to give y'all the reality. Let me cover the buyer name up. All right, so y'all see that, right? Made $508.84 off this deal today. $508.84. That's it. That's all I got. Very grateful for it. Very grateful because it's more I started off with at the end of the day. So very grateful for it. But getting more into the gist of the video, a little background on this deal. I really started talking to this seller in the spring of last year. Spring of 2016 is when I first made contact with the seller. And at the time when I first made an offer to him, he declined the offer. I was at one price, he was at the other price. You know what I'm saying? So a few months passed by, he called me back. He like, yo, man, the county, they're on my ass about this property. The city ordinance people, you know what I'm saying? They were back due taxes. So I guess by the time he called me back, the county probably had been calling him about the property. So he called me back, and we came to an agreement on the price, and we signed a contract or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I found a buyer for it. Actually, at that time, I found two buyers for it. But anyway, went up, got a buyer for it, blah, 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 blah. Got our information to the lawyers so they can run the title. So right before we got ready to close, they got the title work back. And evidently what happened, the seller, he bought this house over 10 years ago originally, back when the real estate market was like booming, you know what I'm saying? And everybody was, making all kind of money in real estate. So he bought it back then as a investment property, a rental investment property specifically is what he bought it for. And he had some renters in there. And at the time, he was actually living close to the property. So he eventually moved out of state. He actually lives in Virginia now. His property is here in Georgia. So he moved to Virginia, and it became tough for him to manage the property living so far away from it. So evidently his renters, they moved out or he kicked them out. I really don't know. But eventually the property sat, and when it went vacant. And once it went vacant, it got vandalized and all that fun, nice stuff, all that stuff happened. So when it was time to sell the property, we ran the title, and whoever gave him the first loan when he first bought that house, that original lender had went out of business. So once the real estate industry was way up here and everybody was doing good, and once it crashed down, that lender, they went out of business. They sold their book of business to a bigger lender. So the seller's original lender, where he got this mortgage from, they went out of business and they sold their book of business to a larger lender. And what happened when they sold their book of business to the larger lender, evidently, as time went on, they sent somebody out here to look at the house. And I guess once the new lender looked at the house, they was like, man, we don't want that house. It's just too much need to be done to it. It's not worth our time or our effort to do anything with the house. So what that new lender did, they went back and they gave the house back to the seller. Yeah, they gave the house back to the seller. So once the lawyers got the title work back, it showed him as the owner, but they still had that original mortgage on there. They still had that showing. They never released the mortgage as far as the technicality and the paperwork go. They forgave the loan. He had no more obligations to pay the loan. They gave him the house back and everything. So if he wanted to, he could have went in there, fixed it up, and moved in, and now he didn't have to worry about paying for nothing. But anyway, so before we could close on it, we had to get something from the new lender saying, hey, we legally and in writing forgive this loan. We're going to have it removed. Lawyers had to have something official from that lender in writing saying, we've totally forgive that loan. You know what I'm saying? They had to have some type of legal paperwork. And that fell upon the seller to get the paperwork from the lender. So just being honest, everybody involved, once we knew the lowdown of it, nobody thought we was gonna close this deal. I didn't think it would close. The seller was starting to think it would never close. The lawyer thought it would never close, and the buyer thought it never closed. So what happened is I get the buyer back his earnings money over time, kind of sort of like really forget about the deal. And like maybe like a week and a half ago, lawyer called me and they're like, hey, we got the paperwork. The house on Swanee is released. We can go ahead and close the deal if you still, you still got a buyer for it. And I done totally forgot about it, y'all, because I originally got this house under contract in January of this year. Actually, like the 1st of January, I think, is when I contracted that house. So my contract had already expired. Technically and legally, my contract with the seller had expired by that time. I mean, like I said, I got it in January, and here we go now at the end of August pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So my contract had expired, but the lawyer called me back and like, hey, yeah, man, we can go ahead. We can still do the deal. You know what I'm saying? Blah, 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 blah. So I contact the seller after I talked to the lawyer, contact the seller, and I'm like, hey, Mr. Brown, just talked to the lawyer, and they said everything has been released from that lender. And he was like, yeah, everything should be recorded in the county now, so we ready to go. So lawyer was ready lawyer was wanting to do this, still wanting to do the deal. My seller still wanted to do the deal. So what I did is I went out real quick and I brought in a buyer, and we were able to close on that deal. But I just wanted to kind of talk about this deal specifically because I put a lot of work into this. A lot of work, a whole lot of work. Went through like 3 different buyers from the original contract and up until now to the closing. And it netted me $508, and that's really the lowest assignment fee that I got so far, but they do happen. I mean, I've got some assignment fees around that area, like I've got a few for like $700, $800, you know what I'm saying? I've got a few of them under $1,000, but I just want y'all to know that sometimes this will happen. You will have so much red tape and things going on that, you're not going to make what you may perceive you may make on every single deal you do. And even on this deal, the new buyer that I got, y'all, he had his own lawyer he wanted to close with. He was going to pay for all the closing. But my lawyer, who I normally close with a lot, they had done so much on this deal from last year, even up until now. And you know what I'm saying? They had ran the title. They just had put so much time and energy into it. They had been talking to the sellers, had been talking to banks, and they had received a red dime from nothing. So I felt it was only right that we close with my lawyer. So I called the buyer. I'm like, hey, how much your lawyer charge to close? And he was like, right around $500. And the lawyer I want to close with, who had been handling, they're going to charge $750. So I made an agreement with the buyer. I said, look, I know you're going to pay for closing, but I really need to close this with the original lawyers who started on the title work and who had been working on this from the start, because that's only the right thing to do. So you can pay your $500, and I'll just pay whatever the additional amount would be, which would be $250. Because my lawyers that I use, they was charging $250 more. And a lot of reason they charge a little bit more is because they're so much faster than everybody else. They do everything super fast. So I paid $250, and he paid the other $500, and we closed it out. But just getting y'all a little background on that, and like this kind of how like some of the closing paperwork look, y'all. You can see right here, I had the house under contract for like $6,500, and my contract with my end buyer was $7,300. So you see that part right there, the $7,300, and if you can see it right here, that $250, that's what, like I was saying, I agreed to pay $250 in closing. So they took that out, my assignment fee, and I don't know how good y'all can see this, but even if you look like right here, where my hand at, you can see like the original date I got it on the contract and when we closed it. But yeah, that's what it was, y'all. But yep, you'll get those deals too, man. You work your ass off for them, and you may not even make $1,000, but you still get those. You still go out there, you still work hard for them, you still pursue them. You know what I'm saying? Base hits. Just keep hitting them base hits, and eventually you'll hit a grand slam. Bam. But last contest we did was strictly for the ladies. We told the fellas to fall back for the last contest we did. And again, fellas, fall back once again. This one for the ladies again. So fellas, fall back. Ladies, here we go. I got one copy of this book left from a good friend, Toya and Nixis. It's called Wear the Skirt. Great book. And I want to give it away to somebody today, some lucky lady. So here's the question, ladies. My favorite rapper in the world is Tupac Shakur. That's my favorite rapper. So in order to win this book, the first person that can put in the comments Tupac's real name. His real name. Yes, I know Tupac is really his name, but his real name. His name that he was given when he was born. The very first name that was on his birth certificate. His very first original government name, which is not Tupac Shakur. It's something else. So the first person that can put that in there, I'm going to mail you this book, totally free of shipping. Put his real name in the comments. I'll get your address. I'm going to ship you out this book ASAP. You know what I'm saying? And definitely read it for me. And when you read it, tell me what you think. You know what I'm saying? But until the next time, peace out.